And I hope everybody had an opportunity. Oh, that always gets me. I hope everybody had opportunity to put their cards in the basket when they signed in. If anybody came in late or forgot, put your card in the basket.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Can everybody hear me okay? Probably even better now. Perfect. I have a tendency to talk loud. Sometimes when I'm on the phone, I'm always like, man, I talk loud. I'm always like yelling at people because everybody on speakerphone all the time. Anyway, so put your card in the basket if you didn't have an opportunity to do that already. We have a really great raffle when we're all done today. And just a reminder to all of those in our senior communities, those who serve in our senior communities here in the area, make sure that if you haven't already, I'm always just going to keep preaching to somehow maybe put a flyer up in your event center or where you have those announcements, letting the seniors in your community know that we meet here once a month so that they can come hopefully join us. And we're working very closely with Allison and Jan. We're going to try to start getting some information going out in the Modesto Bee on a regular basis because we know our seniors still love their paper. They still love print. And so we're hoping that maybe by getting that information out into the Modesto Bee, we can get, the word out. And again, just, continue on that mission to serve our community and make them aware of our presence. Okay. So some reminders of our mission is to proactively serve and educate each other in pursuit of synergistic solutions for our seniors and their adult children. Our vision is to create a unified senior resource team and to support one another in the seniors that we serve. And our values are integrity, synergy, service, and collaboration. So we are up 3 whole people on Facebook. Woohoo! So keep inviting, keep sharing. And what we're hoping to be able to do is if we can start getting some of these announcements into the Modesto Bee, we're going to start putting them on our OACS Facebook page. And so when you're on the Facebook page, you can start sharing that. I just feel like, again, just sharing content is going to help drive people to our page because they're going to go, oh, okay, that's interesting content that maybe applies to my family, my situation. Where can I learn more about that? Right. So I think that sharing on Facebook, and we're going to all be pushing to get 20 people this month. So let's all share and invite and get people, because our goal is to get from 260 up to 350 people. And we all know the compounding effect, right? The more people that we get on our page, the more people that are going to start sharing, and that compounding effect is just going to keep growing. And I'd love to someday see us be in the thousands on our page. So okay, and then reminder for November and December for our meetings, we're looking for community service opportunities. So if anybody has any suggestions, any ideas, feel free to, just speak with Amy directly, give her a call, email her, direct message her, and let us know if you have any amazing ideas of how we can serve during those holiday months. I love that time of year. We're all in the best mood ever because it's the holidays, and it's a really great time to share love for our community and our families. So let's go ahead and open up to any announcements. And Amy, you can run around with the microphone. If anybody has any announcements they want to share, just raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone. Don't be shy. I know there's something going on. Here we go. Finish eating.
Okay, I'm Jenna with the True Blessing Senior Services. We actually mainly focus on the assisted living waiver program. So that means that we deal with a lot of individuals who are very low income to no income. A lot of times they're coming from nursing homes, and their Social Security benefits are only maybe $35 a month, and it can take up to 90 days to get that corrected from Social Security Administration. And when they move out of a nursing home into an assisted living, the assisted livings don't provide the basic toiletries like, shampoos, conditioners, lotions, toothbrushes, all that kind of fun stuff. And so what we're hoping to do is start taking donations where we can put baskets together for those individuals that we know are going to struggle those first couple months to get those basic care needs met, without having to ask the facilities to take on additional expenses, because the waiver program doesn't really reimburse like, a private pay client would be. So if anybody has any items that they would like to donate to a senior in need, you can email me at jenna@atrueblessing.com. And right now we've got about 15 men's bath and body soap kits that we've got where we can hand those out. So we're really in need of female items right now, but this will be an ongoing all year thing. So, you know, if you're at the dollar store and you're like, hey, I can spend $20 and buy X amount of items to go to a person in need. We'll, you know, if you want to include your business card or something like that, we can include that in little kits that we make as well. But if you have any questions about that further, just go ahead and see me afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have any announcements? Yes.
Hi, I'm Teresa from Care to You Oral Care Services. A reminder that August 19th, we are having an event out at the VFW Hall out on Hatch Road. It is dedicated towards seniors, veterans, and first responders and their families specifically. I'm not going to turn anybody away. And we are going to be providing oral care services that day. So if you know someone that is in need that doesn't have means or access and they can get there, then, you know, we'll see what we can do to help them. We are going to have also, hopefully, a basic medical screenings event that day as well. So looking for volunteers, looking for donations, looking for good vibes and manifestations and all kinds of prayers and support. So it's going to be a good deal. So we're going to have a classic car show, a place for kids to play, and it's going to be an all around family day. All right. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
August 19th.
All right. Anybody else? All good? Okay. I feel like Oprah when she used to go out in the audience and talk to everybody. All right. So we were going to have Lynn Ross from Mystic Body Health get us started, but Allison let me know, I guess she had a fall yesterday. So she was unable to come today. And so we're going to have Karina Castillo from the Hope Counseling Program share with us about the fantastic program for anyone needing support during challenging times. So let's welcome her.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome and for coming today. So I'm here to talk a little bit about Community Hospice's newest program. It is called Hope Counseling, but April is also Stress Awareness Month. So I'm going to be talking about stress awareness today first, and then we'll be sharing a little bit about Hope Counseling. What is stress? So stress is your mind and body's response to a reaction to a real or imagined threat, right? So if there's a perceived threat, it could be something that could cause somebody stress as well. The threat, event, or change are commonly called stressors. So maybe you ask, what's the difference between good and bad stress? So there is actually such a thing as good stress. With good stress, it's a part of human instinct that exists to help us survive. It's meant to be short term, though, and to maybe help you motivate you, focus your energy, and enhance performance. So for instance, if you're working on a project or you have an exam coming up, it can really enhance, right, your ability to stay on task and on target and prepare fully for whatever you have coming up. Bad stress, on the other hand, in today's world, people are faced with stressors much more frequently than really our bodies are capable of being able to process. And so that's ongoing, and that can last days and even years. I know you guys are all thinking, oh, stress, right? A lot of stressful events that happen to us. Well, what does stress do to us? What does stress do to us? So according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, stress is the basic cause of 60% of all illness. Super high, right? Super high. It increases the risk of heart disease by 40%. Also, the risk of stroke by 50%. Stress increases the tendency to overeat by 40%. And as we all know, with overeating, we could then have additional physical challenges, right? Obesity, diabetes, a lot of different illnesses that can come from overeating or stress eating. And then Stress also causes a decrease in sleep by 44%. And I don't know about you guys, but when I don't get adequate sleep at night, the next morning, I don't function as well. I'm more irritable, more short with people, can't concentrate, right? So a variety of different problems that can really impede someone's ability to live fully. So what causes stress? Let's talk about the different stressors that can happen in someone's life. Financial obligations, super, super stressful if you're having finance issues. Death of a loved one, especially if it was someone really close or your immediate family, but it can also be the death of maybe a friend of yours or a coworker. That can cause a lot of stress for people. Job loss, losing your job is usually a very stressful experience for people. The next one is traumatic events. Can anyone think of a traumatic event that would cause someone a lot of stress? Oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you for calling that one out, right? COVID, probably for a lot of us, one of the most stressful experiences that we've been through. And we didn't see it coming, did we? It came out of nowhere. Like nobody really foresaw it. It just surprised us. It shook our world, right? So perfect example. What are some other examples that people can think of a traumatic event that could cause stress? Yes, that's actually one I have listed, car accident. Isn't it so stressful? Even if you're not that injured, dealing with insurances, trying to get your car fixed, trying to get a rental, speaking to the insurances, such a stressful experience. I've been in unfortunately, numerous car accidents, about 4. And one of the most stressful things to have to experience, even when it's not your fault, right? And you know it's not your fault and you're not at fault. So financially, you're not going to be responsible. But all the little things that come as a result are just so overwhelming, so overwhelming. Any others that you can think of? What about witnessing a crime or a murder? Anything like that would cause a lot of stress for someone. Yeah. Problems at work. So very high on the stress list. It could be that maybe you're just transitioning to a new position. It might even be a promotion for you, right? But it's still a stressful experience because you're adjusting to that change of something new, taking on new responsibilities. It could be that you're having problems with coworkers. If you're a manager, maybe you're having problems with your employees not performing. And all of those things can really cause a lot of stress. Relationship issues. Very stressful to have those happen, whether it's with your spouse, with your children, with coworkers, with friends, right? Very stressful experience. Anything else that maybe isn't up here that you can think of that is a stressor? There is one other that I can think of, but I want to see if anybody else in the audience has additional ideas. That's exactly the one I thought about, right? Health issues. Any health issues that you might be experiencing can cause additional stress. And it's like that perpetuating cycle of, well, now I'm more stressed, so now I'm more sick, and now it's causing me additional problems, right? So yes, a very stressful experience. So out of these things that are listed up here, you have a little notepad at your table. I want you to write down in order. So what is your opinion? Your order of which is the most stressful? Number 1 being the most stressful, number 6 being the least stressful. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. So which is the most stressful event that has even happened to you? And if it hasn't, maybe it's just that you can imagine it being stressful. Okay, raise your hand if you think you have them down in order of what's the most stressful, just to see if you need a little more time or if you've already gotten them. You're done? Okay. All right, so now this is what we're going to do. We're going to divide the room up by whoever chose, for instance, the number one as financial obligations. Who chose financial obligations as the most stressful? I want those people that listed that as number one to go to the back door on that side, and you're going to form a little group. Financial obligations. The poor group. That was really cute. I think I'm going to add myself to that group. I have a daughter that's in college out of state, and I joke all the time about there's no such thing as poor college students anymore, but there is such a thing as poor college parents. So I will add myself to that group. Death of a loved one. Who chose death of a loved one? Please go to over by the water. We're going to have that group go over by the water. Quite a few, large group of people. Okay. We're almost evenly divided. There's not that many people left. We will see. Job loss. Who chose job loss? Anybody choose job loss as number one? One person. Okay. I'm going to allow you to join maybe another group since you're by yourself. Traumatic events. Who chose traumatic events? Wonderful. Let's go to that back door, and you guys will form a little group. And then who chose problems at work? Problems at work as number one. I'm glad nobody's having problems at work right now. And then the last one, relationship issues. Okay, do you want to join that group then? Okay, so here's the task. Among your group, and because this is the largest group here, I'm actually going to split you right in the middle. So from the girl with the gray, go this way, and this will be another group, okay? And what we're going to do is I want you to talk among your groups about why you chose that as your number one. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. Why did you choose what you chose as number one? Have you experienced it? Are you imagining someone that's sick and maybe dying, for instance, if that's the death of a loved one? So talk about why you chose it as number one. Please identify a spokesperson from among your group who will be sharing with the larger group as to why you chose your stressor as number one. I'm going to give you about 1 more minute to share within your group. Identify a spokesperson. Okay, I'm going to have everyone head back to their seats. Did you identify a spokesperson? Actually, let's go ahead and stay where you're at and we'll do the spokespeople that way. Okay, wonderful. So here comes our first spokesperson. I'm going to give the mic to her. Why did you guys identify death of a loved one as the most stressful experience you could ever go through?
With our group, there was a lot of personal experience that had come with the loss of a loved one, or also that imagining of losing a loved one because of it in past. And the thought came in for us that a lot of the other issues come into play oftentimes when you have the death of a lost one, like a traumatic event, someone had lost to a drunk driver, or a sudden cancer diagnosis, which also can now become relationship challenges, financial challenges, as you are dealing with those types of things. And so for us, and the thought was shared that for us, of all those things that you deal with, our loved ones are our top priority. Jobs can come and go, finances will right themselves at some point, but our loved ones are the thing that mean the most in our lives.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we can't bring them back. That's the reality, right? Yeah. Thank you. Did you guys identify a spokesperson as well with the second mini group? Come on up. Are you sure? Was there anything else that you might have captured in your group? Okay. 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 All right. So this back group over here, you guys were relationship problems, right? Who is your spokesperson? Come on up. Or I'll bring the mic to you. I'll make it a little bit easier. Why did you choose relationship issues as the biggest stressor?
Well, we all kind of share different things, divorce being one of them, losing friends as we get older. Like, in the 20s, when you're a teenager, in the 20s, you have 20, 30 friends around you. But when you get older, those friends kind of go away and all of a sudden your core group becomes very small. Was there anything else?
Just how much we value and, the relationships we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how we value our relationships. I'll just jump in with
Yeah.
the job loss. I did lose, my position was eliminated 2 months ago. Now, for me, we work to support our families, and that affects you and your identity, and you're here to serve the community. And how I got through that, I just keep getting involved in serving the community, no matter what I'm doing. And that's how I'm working through that. These ladies here, they're working through their situations they're kind of, what I'm hearing what they're saying is they just kind of revamped kind of like what is a true friend, or what a true relationship is, and how much we value, and their relationships are very important. And also jobs are important. We need to put food on our tables. And so thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And the reality of it is that when we have relationship issues and we don't have that strong support system, all of these other things that we're dealing with are so much more magnified, right? So yes, relationship issues for sure. This back group was traumatic events. Who is the spokesperson?
Have been chosen. For us, I think traumatic events are very unexpected. Like we were talking about some of the mass shootings that have been happening, some personal experiences with, just homes being burned down, just all these unexpected events. And it also kind of just ties into everything else too, losing a job, losing a loved one. These are all traumatic experiences. So I think that's why we chose this one.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, absolutely. So traumatic events can be losing a loved one, losing a job. All of those things can also be considered traumatic events. Okay, and our last group over here, financial obligations or issues. Who would like to be the spokesperson? They identified you.
Of course. So we all kind of felt that financial obligations and financial stress in general was kind of most relevant because it affects everyone, regardless of, whether you make a lot of money, you don't make a lot of money. It's kind of universal, the financial pressures that society kind of places on us. And the one thing that I had mentioned is that there's not always a clear way out. A lot of these other events are events. And that, however unfortunate, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And with financial obligations, there's not always a clear path out. And that just kind of adds to the stress a lot of times when you're in a situation and you don't know how to get out. I felt that was relevant and everyone here agreed. Did I cover all the points?
Wonderful. Thank you. And by the way, financial stressors is the #1 reason for divorce, right? So yeah, a very stressful experience. And you're right, to see like the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes is really challenging, very challenging. Okay, I'll have everyone go back to their seats and then we'll continue. Just a couple seconds here. So the reason I wanted to do that activity is to really give you perspective on how some of these stressors can be different for every person, right? The same event can actually happen to multiple people, but for one person, it might be incredibly stressful. For another person, it may not be as stressful, right? So perspective oftentimes can really dictate how we deal with stress. What are some stress symptoms? So stress symptoms can actually be divided into 4 different categories: emotional symptoms, behavioral symptoms, cognitive, and physical. So let's look at some of those. As I'm going through some of these, please jot down on your scratch paper if you've had some of these symptoms before in dealing with stress. Write those symptoms down, identify those symptoms for yourself. So let's start with emotional. Irritability or being short with people, being less patient, being angry at times. That's usually a very good indication that people are dealing with stress. Irritability. Anxiety, another word for anxiety is worrying about what's going to happen. Sometimes we work ourselves so hard on the worrying and the what ifs and what's going to happen more than what actually the reality might be, right? And so our minds tend to really kind of work in a way that can build us so much anxiety and worrying. Depression, sadness, and even feelings of hopelessness, right? Like just not being able to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Mood swings where we're maybe happy one minute, stressed the next, and sad or angry, and those intense mood swings. Behavioral symptoms is something that we can experience as well. So relying on alcohol or other substances to cope with stress, avoiding responsibility, maybe nail biting. That's usually when I have someone that comes in and they're reporting anxiety. One of the first things that I look at is their hands. I want to see how intense that anxiety is. And believe it or not, most of my clients that I see for anxiety have super short nails from the nail biting. And it's something that they do oftentimes subconsciously. It happens at night. It happens in moments of the day where they're not even recognizing it. I've had other clients too that pick eyebrows or lashes, and they do that in the middle of the night. They have they don't have any memory of doing it. So very, very common. And then any form of risky behavior. What can you guys imagine under risky behavior? What would be some risky behavior that people would take if they are feeling stressed? Reckless driving. Yes. What about overspending? And we're already having maybe financial problems. That's probably the least effective thing to do, right? But you know, that there, what do we call it? The stress therapy, right? That sometimes people go to is shopping. Yes, you had a comment. Retail therapy. That's what I was thinking of. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for helping me out. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That can happen. Yeah. Yeah. So self-harm. Yeah. And not just cutting, but sometimes I've heard of people slashing with rubber bands, you know, different variety of things that they can use for self-harm. Some cognitive symptoms is being super forgetful, because maybe you're just so overwhelmed with everything going on that you forget even the littlest things. Racing thoughts and not being able to stop those thoughts, having constant thoughts over and over about what you're stressed about and not even able to focus in the moment or being present in the moment. Not being able to concentrate, whether that's at work or in other social situations. And then physical symptoms, let's talk about those next. So insomnia, not being able to fall asleep, stay asleep, maybe even nightmares about what you're experiencing and the worst case scenario of what might happen in your life. Hair loss is very common when people are going through stress as well. And I know as women, that's the last thing we want to happen, right? We love our hair and we love having it. It makes us who we are. It identifies us sometimes as well. And so super important. Part of our self-esteem is to have as much hair as we can. Low sexual desire. And with that one, of course, it can create relationship problems then, right? So if we're already having relationship problems and then we're stressed about it, and then we have low sexual desire, then it creates even more problems within our relationships. So digestive issues, palpitations, high blood pressure, a big one. I know a lot of people that are on medication for high blood pressure when they're going through a very stressful experience. And that could lead to other health issues as well, of course. Headaches, stress headaches, right? Muscle tension and pain in your back, neck, very common. And then constant fatigue or feeling tired. So I'm going to talk a little bit next about some tips. How do you deal with stress? And if you don't take anything else away from my presentation today, I want you to try to remember these 3 tips. Change your thinking, change your behavior, and change your lifestyle. Can you guys repeat that for me? Change your thinking, change your behavior, and change your lifestyle. So with changing your thinking, we like to talk a little bit about having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, right? So with any experience we encounter, that's super important. A fixed mindset is really having a belief that you're born with your intelligence, your talents, your abilities, and that there's no way those are ever changing. It's almost like you're just set in that and no possibility of ever having change within that, what you were born with. With a growth mindset, it's a belief that you can continue to grow regardless of your age, improve on your talents, your intelligence, abilities, and personal traits. It's also to you focus your efforts of the end result, and it's seeing failures as maybe even learning opportunities, right? So huge on the way you approach a situation or experience something in your life. As therapists, we like to do what we call CBT work. And within that, that we do with our clients, we talk about looking at how our thoughts influence our behavior and our emotions. And so let's look at kind of what this describes. So the cognitive triangle shows how your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors affect each other. This means that changing your thoughts will change how you feel and ultimately how you behave. A situation is anything that happens in your life, which triggers the cognitive triangle. The thoughts specifically are your interpretations of that problem. And I am going to give an example in a little bit. The emotions are the feelings that you're having, such as feeling happy, sad, angry, or worried. It can also have physical components to it, where you might even develop headaches or stomach aches as a result. And then behaviors are going to be the response you have to a specific situation. So the example I'm going to give is kind of what they listed under thoughts. So let's say you see a stranger and the stranger gives you an angry look. Okay, they give you an angry look. And so the thoughts that you might have could be, oh no, what did I do? Or what did I do wrong, right? They must be angry at me. I did something wrong. So that might have caused you some anger emotionally. Maybe it might cause you to feel a little upset in that moment. And what are some of the behaviors as a result that you could have? Maybe you're going to flip the person off, you're going to cuss them out. You could even go to the extent of picking a fight with the person, right? So those are the things that can happen based on a situation. However, let's talk about the situation in a different way. So situation is still that you see a stranger, you notice that they give you an angry look, but maybe the thoughts that you're going to have is, oh, they must be having a really bad day, right? It's not about me. They must be having a really bad day. So the emotions that might cause you to have is maybe sadness or empathy for what they're experiencing. And then your behavior would be maybe to smile and tell them to have a good day. Very different behavioral response to the same situation, right? All based on your perspective of what you're seeing. Any questions at all about the cognitive triangle? No questions? So tip number 2 is change your behavior. With this tip in particular, developing a routine is super important. When we have a predictable schedule in the mornings and we start our day in a very predictable way, that tends to release a lot of stress and worrying. And so really being able to start your day with a calm and peaceful way, whether it's meditation in the morning or prayer in the morning, if you're religious, scheduling time within your day to do self-care, even if it's just a 5-minute walk, reading. What are some other self-care activities that you guys enjoy that you can think of? So I said taking a walk and reading. What other activities? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Super relaxing, right? Yeah. Anything else that you guys can think of? Yes. Exercise. Absolutely. Even if it's just a very short cardio, 10-minute cardio exercise can really help with stress. The next tip listed on here is to assess your boundaries, right? Being able to say no. Who struggles with that one? Because I'm going to add myself to that list. I overtake and then I'm overwhelmed, right? So being able to say no is sometimes okay. I just cannot accomplish that. Thank you for thinking of me. I have to practice that constantly because I'm not so good at it either. So the last one is to get social in a manner that fits you, whether that's texting a friend, maybe it's making a phone call, maybe it's seeing someone, meeting someone for a coffee date. So anything social can really help as well. As far as changing your lifestyle, that's tip number 3. Diet is very important, right? Being able to eat healthy foods. What we eat is usually how we feel. So if we're eating junk food, fast food, it's not going to help our stress. Super important that we're eating healthy. Decreasing smoking and alcohol, very important as well. Exercise, which was actually already brought up. I know there's certain forms of exercise that are actually ideal when people are experiencing stress, and those seem to be more like the yoga, the Pilates, those are great exercises for people who are having stress or experiencing a stressful event. Being able to get plenty of sleep. We've already talked about that one a little bit. The other one is participating in hobbies or leisure activities. So, for instance, knitting, crocheting, coloring, cooking, baking, maybe doing yard work, right? Can be a great hobby to go ahead and tap into when we're experiencing stress. Any others that you guys can think of that you enjoy, hobbies that you enjoy that make you feel less stressed? Yes.
In the past, I volunteered for different youth organizations.
Yes.
Where-
Yes. 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 Excellent. We have a slide coming up on volunteering. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yes. Any other hobbies that people enjoy when they're feeling stressed, something they can do to really focus their attention on other things as opposed to the event? Yes. I do too. I do too. And it's awful that we do that. But you know what? Something about having my house in order makes me feel like I can accomplish anything, right? That clean feeling when you walk into a room and it's just beautiful. Yeah. Scrubbing as hard as you can. You're getting some of that energy out too. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Something else is relaxation. You talked about getting in a hot tub. There's other form of relaxation as well. Getting a massage. I actually had one yesterday. It was wonderful, right? The scheduling, those things are super important for ourselves and knowing that we have to take care of ourselves and our bodies. Limiting social media. Why do you think that one's up there? What happens on social media? Do people post the difficult things that they're going through in life? They really don't, right? They post all the wonderful things that are happening in their life, and it's inevitable for us to want to compare our lives to other people's. And so oftentimes one of the things I recommend for my clients is to really limit the amount of social media that they're looking at, that they're not making that a priority in their life, right? Because you really can't compare people's lives and experiences, especially with what we see on social media not being accurate depiction of what people's lives are really like. And then the last one listed on here is talking about your problems, whether that's with a friend, with someone you trust, with a counselor, that's also an option as well. So one of the things as far as changing your lifestyle is to what I call random acts of kindness. Doing things for other people can actually help us feel better about ourselves and our own situation. So some of those things can include writing a letter to a friend or a neighbor, right? I don't know why we got away with like all of the texting and even just calling. Something about a written hand note from someone is so meaningful. So meaningful. So it can really make someone's day. Making a meal for someone who needs help. Maybe they're sick, unable to cook. Maybe they've been in and out of the hospital. Cleaning out your closet and donating, reorganizing your closet. That kind of goes with the cleaning idea as well. Mowing or raking leaves for someone, maybe a neighbor, an elderly person in your neighborhood. And then maybe even offering to run an errand for them, pick up their medication, pick up their groceries, anything like that. I am stuck for some reason. Interesting. Maybe we can get IT. So let's talk a little bit about volunteer opportunities before we get this next slide up. So you gave the perfect example of volunteering, you said, for cheer or soccer, right? Soccer coach, other activities like that. There's a lot of local nonprofit agencies within our community that we can volunteer our time to. It could be us, Community Hospice. We take volunteers fairly regularly. The Havens Women's Center takes volunteers. Memorial Medical Center takes volunteers. I know that I have a friend that volunteers in the NICU and she holds babies. She goes and holds babies that, for whatever reason, their parent isn't there and is unable to really hold them. And that's such an important part of bonding a child needs during the first couple of weeks of life. And so that's a great opportunity to be able to volunteer at a hospital. St. Mary's Dining Hall, Emergency Food Bank, Love Modesto or Love Stockton, for those of you that might be from the San Joaquin area, and then many more. Any other agencies that you guys can think of that are great to volunteer for that you've either experienced or heard of? Absolutely. Absolutely. Senior Center, Salvation Army, right? There's a lot of great organizations in our community. So we're going to talk next about some helpful apps. So this is something I talk to a lot of my clients as well about finding different apps that can help you when you're really struggling, whether you're having a lot of anxiety or going through a stressful experience. And so out of all of these listed, my favorite one is Calm. Don't know how many of you have heard of Calm. A lot of insurances actually will pay for you to have Calm, a subscription of Calm. I know Kaiser does if you have Kaiser. Other insurances do as well. I thought for today's presentation, I would actually play like a 5-minute meditation and relaxation that Calm has listed. So we're going to do that next. If we can get the lights to turn down maybe just a little bit, Allison, and then I'll go ahead and find it. Okay, is everyone ready?
Hey there, this is Chibs. Welcome to the present moment. Let's get into it. Begin by getting comfortable and doing things slightly differently and starting off this meditation with our eyes softly open. Okay, now just take note of your breathing. In and out. We're simply noticing how the body's naturally breathing. We breathe in, the body expands. We breathe out, the body softens and relaxes, allowing tension to leave the body, allowing thoughts to leave the mind. And now let's have a look around. Notice 5 things that you can see. You can label them in your mind if that feels natural. Take a few seconds to take in each object, then move on. Now notice 4 things you can hear. At this point, you might want to close your eyes. Just listening, tuning in to sounds all around you. Cars beeping, leaves rustling, dogs barking. 4 things you can hear. Now, 3 things you can feel. Maybe the warmth from the sun, a cool breeze, the seat beneath you. 3 things you can feel. Okay, now 2 things you can smell. And if you can't smell anything, see if you can feel the cool air entering your nostrils. And finally, 1 thing that you can taste. If you can't taste anything, noticing what no taste tastes like. So remember, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A quick countdown to connect with your five senses and come back to planet Earth. Okay, crack open the eyes if they were closed. That's all there is to it. Now let's get back to the day.
Okay, so that's what the Calm app is about. It even gives you an alert to like throughout the day to take deep breaths, to take a break, take a walk, whatever you set it up to do, it will do it for you and remind you throughout the day. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Hope Counseling. Let me get the lights back on real quick. Thank you. So Hope Counseling, it is our newest program with Community Hospice, and it started in October of 2021, so about a year and a half old. This specific program was really geared for clients that were struggling with mental health issues in our community. We started identifying that a lot of the clients that we were working with that were coming in for symptoms of grief after losing a loved one also had additional areas and concerns that they wanted to work on. Maybe trauma in the past, depression they had struggled with for many years, anxiety. And unfortunately, with our grief counseling, we were really limited. Our scope was very limited to just dealing with the death of a loved one. So we thought about the possibility of starting a program that would be more focused on mental health. And of course, coming out of a pandemic, we also realized this was a much bigger need in our community than we expected, right? Lots of anxiety and depression coming out of such a difficult experience. So some of the areas that we can help with under Hope Counseling is anger management, anxiety, depression, grief and loss, which is our specialty, marriage and relationship counseling. We also have a program where we can serve people who have experienced the death loss of somebody from an opioid overdose death, self-esteem issues, stress management, substance abuse issues, PTSD and trauma, and much more. Our services can be either telephone, they can be via Zoom, they can also be in person. With our specific program, usually within 2 weeks of a phone call, we're able to give someone an appointment to come in and start being seen. That's very unheard of in our community. Most mental health centers that you're calling Kaiser or other mental health programs, you're looking at 3 to 6 months to even get in for an intake, right? So thankfully, we have the availability to get in people when they're in that crisis moment and a lot sooner to provide them the support that they need. Some of the insurances that we are paneled with and we're able to accept are Medicare. So a lot of our seniors are going to have Medicare, and that's something we're able to bill for under their Medicare for the mental health services. Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna. We do have a employee assistance program called Web PTA that we take. United Healthcare, which is also known as Optum. We also are paneled with victims of crime. So for anyone who's been through some traumatic experience and they're able to access those services, we're able to take that as a form of payment. We talked a little bit already about mood, and then we also take private pay based on your income. We can give you an adjusted rate if we do not currently bill your insurance. That ends my presentation, and I will open it up for, I think I still have maybe a couple minutes for questions and answers, if anyone has any at this time.
Does the individual going to your counseling service have to have a loved one who was on hospice services?
No. So Hope is completely unattached to the death of a loved one on our service or off service. Great question. Yes. Absolutely. So we consider that like a caregiver burnout, someone who's really struggling with taking care of someone and their new needs. So yes, we would be able to provide services to that person and offer them resources for support, as well as just time to talk about what they're experiencing and providing them that safe space to talk about. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful question. So we take as low as 6, pretty young, but no lower than 6. Below 6, a lot of kids are not very verbal and their attention span is really low. So we don't recommend our services for under 6, but we don't have an upper age limit. Okay, so I have a client that comes in and she's about 90. Sometimes she chooses to come in, sometimes she prefers to just do telephone, and that's fine too. We offer, whatever they want to do, what's most convenient for them to do. Great question. Any other questions? We do have flyers up here of our Hope Counseling Program. So if you want to take some of those, you're more than welcome. If you can think of anybody or just want to have them at your different agencies that you work for, you're welcome to take some. On the flyer, it will also list the website and the phone number that people call. That's listed here at the bottom. We have a website for inquiries, and then we also have a phone number, and that's who they would contact. Absolutely, both Stanislaus and San Joaquin County. And then depending in San Joaquin County, I will say that if I have a lot of clients that come from like Manteca, Lathrop area, because it's not too far, we're super far north, right? But then if there's some people that are maybe in Stockton, they prefer to do virtual, so they're not having to drive into our offices. So that's an option to them as well. And I do actually have a client from Merced as well. So it goes in the other direction. And she sometimes comes, sometimes she prefers virtual, just depending on if she has a ride for someone to bring her. She's an elderly lady. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes. No, in 2 months, things can change, right? So I was saying usually from the day you call, you will be asked to complete an online portal. And if you complete the online portal fairly quickly, most of the forms on the online portal will be like review and sign, right? They're authorizations, but there is one form in particular that's a little bit lengthier because it asks about the current symptoms and what they're experiencing. So that maybe takes, 5 minutes to complete. The whole process can easily be done in 15 minutes. If you were to complete that the same day you called, usually within 2 weeks, you'll be given an appointment. We have some clients that kind of drag their feet on completing that process, and then it extends that time a little bit more, right? Because I look at it, I receive it, and then I assign, and we can usually get someone in within a couple of weeks, but I don't receive the information until it's completed. So that's when it actually gets assigned to someone and then scheduled. They schedule an appointment. Yes.
What about individuals that, have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's dementia? Are you working along with their neurologist to?
We would consult. We would have to have a release of information to be able to really partner with any other agencies or medical professionals. But yeah, absolutely, that would be something we could do. Any other questions before I turn the mic over to, I'm not sure who's coming up next. You? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for being so attentive.
Oh, I shocked you. Thank you so much, Karina. That was really good. Really good. All right. So our next meeting will be Thursday, May 11th at 10 a.m. And we'll be hearing from Lisa Clausen about National Stroke Month. Okay. And then Amy, you want to come up? We'll do the raffle. Shake them all around. Hey. Oh. Adriana Gomez. Yay. Congratulations. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we have muffins and coffee and water. And don't forget to come up and check out the information table. And we'll see everybody next month.